Disclaimer. The opinions expressed in this show are unfiltered and unrehearsed. Statements conveyed are personal and issued to the best of the ability and knowledge of the cast. They should not be taken as conclusive facts. Does This Offend You is not responsible for any mental, physical, or emotional damage sustained by its listeners. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to another episode of Does This Offend You? Today we talk about sports, whether or not your life story actually belongs to you, and yes, conspiracy theories. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.
What do I have to say to make some money? What do I have to say to make some money? No offense.
And we're recording.
Yeah, the only error I see is that the sticker on your hat is almost coming off, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, and I am probably never going to take it off. It has to fall off on its own accord.
What's with the flash?
I did that because my camera was not focusing on my beautiful face.
Wait,
Yeah.
how is the sticker gonna fall off on its own?
I don't know, gravity? Overuse? Wear and tear? I don't know how shit works. I'm a guy, dude. I wear things out to the very end of their lifespan and probably further, more than is necessary, and then I will acknowledge having to replace something. And don't act like you guys don't do the same thing.
I mean, it's just a sticker. You're not gonna return it to the store, are you?
There's no way I could. I think one of you guys gave it to me, actually. You or your brother.
Maybe.
Yeah, so
Maybe
I
it
wouldn't
was
even know.
Navid.
There's no possible way. Even if I did buy it myself, there's no receipt, or I couldn't. I mean, it's been.
Is it
5
old
years.
enough to the point where if you peel back the sticker a little bit, you can see a distinction between where the sticker was supposed to be and not, because it's like completely clean under the sticker, and then around it you're like, oh wow, I don't even know this could accumulate dust that way.
100%. It's probably a different shade of black.
Yeah.
Underneath that sticker, yeah. And I don't know if someone's smart enough out there to read the barcode and do something with it, if you can even see it. Find out if I can return this hat. I don't know. I feel like there's some hacker out there who could find all my information just by this barcode. But
Just show up to Dick's Sporting Goods.
yeah, I'm not even... Dude, it could have been from Dick's. I have no idea. But I am repping my 49ers. This isn't the first time I've worn this hat. I did wear it after I got back from Turkey for a long time. And I wore it again today for 2 reasons. Number one is that I didn't have time to do my usual, preparations, like take a shower and do my hair and all that stuff. I actually do put a little bit of effort into the way I look for this podcast. And then the second reason is that...
Says the guy wearing a tank top.
Yeah,
Says the guy.
I want to look presentable. This is presentable for me. All right, people have different standards. This is the most I will.
As the guy who's worn a button-up shirt to an episode, I can make fun of you for this.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like we put way too much into how we look versus what we do. But that's a whole different conversation. The second reason...
No. It's the same conversation. Hold up, buddy.
Okay, you put way... If you try more than this, then you got something... I mean, you got find something else to do with your time. That's all I'm saying. Like, a hat and a tank top is good enough. It's fine. It's presentable. All right. Second reason I'm wearing this hat and this shirt. And this shirt. Can you guess why? Can anybody guess why?
You like red.
Mm-hmm.
Let me
Nailed it.
think. Is it because your heroes are people that didn't raise you?
Guess. As a matter of fact.
I nailed it.
Joe was always there for me. Number 16 was always there for me.
What about Jim Harbaugh?
Harbaugh? No, I was already a man by the time Jim Harbaugh was around.
And he left.
And then he left, yeah. He gave me that glimpse of hope. He came back from the cigarette store or whatever, and then he left again. Okay, so it's pretty obvious to you guys, but hopefully to people out there, if you don't know, it is now football season. Congratulations, you made it to another year. I'm a huge fan. And not that I'm trying to make this podcast about sports or anything. It's not a sports podcast. It's a whatever podcast. But since it is football time, I'm very happy.
It's a good rating.
Yeah.
It's a good rating for us. It's a whatever podcast.
It is. You know what?
That's how I advertise it to people too. Yes, whatever. That's whatever.
That's it, man. That's the standard we hold ourselves to. Much like my attire, That is the standard I hold this podcast to. It's a whatever podcast. But it is now football time. The NFL season has started, and I'm super fucking excited, and I'm already livid too, by the way. So as much excitement, here's the problem with football now for me. I love football. I've been watching since I was a kid, and no, despite my attire, I'm not just a Niners fan, although they are by default my favorite team. Not because I was raised in the Bay Area. It's because I used to watch this growing up with my family and my grandpa. My grandpa loves the Niners. And to honor the time I had with my grandpa, who's still alive, by the way, still watch with him every Sunday growing up, the 49ers are, yes, they're my favorite team because a lot of my memories were built around Niners games growing up. But I love football for football. I'll watch all the games. But I also play fantasy, which also dilutes my love for football a whole lot. I lost this week by 3 fucking points. And I just want to say I love it all, even the miserable parts.
Did you draft any 49ers in your fantasy
Fuck
team?
no, dude. Never draft 49ers. You did you draft any this year? I know you had one last year. Did very well for you.
I don't know. I probably got their kicker or something.
Yeah, maybe the kicker's the only exception, but the 49ers are way too dynamic of a team to have for fantasy football. Makes them a good team in real life. For fantasy football purposes, don't draft a Niner because you don't know where the ball's going any week.
What about their defense?
Their defense is good. I feel somewhat overrated, or maybe they always get the tough matchups, which makes me think they're overrated. Like, they're a really good defense, but they're never like the top. They never finish the top 3 in fantasy. And like in real life, like on paper, they're a solid defense. But yeah, here's the thing. My mind switches. Like my mind, I can't disconnect the two anymore. It's always fantasy and real life football is like mixed together in my head. So when I look at a team now, I'm like, that team's really good. But really, I could just be thinking like maybe 2 of their players are good, and so the rest of the team is by default also good. But that's never the case. That's not how it works. Yeah,
Like the Seahawks.
like the Seahawks who pull off. We were just talking about this before we started recording. What a fucking upset, dude! Unbelievable. I can't believe they beat the Broncos. But
I told you it was going to happen. I told you they're the thorn in the sides for the 49ers. Watch this game coming up right now.
yeah,
They're no matter how bad they are on paper, they're going to be a problem for the Niners all the time. It's fucking annoying.
I doubt it.
well, history has shown that they do have a knack.
Pete
for,
Carroll pisses me off. I don't know why he's so good against the Niners, but he pisses me off.
Why does Sean McVay suck against the Niners? It goes down the ladder. Like what's his name? Who's the coach for the Niners? The Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, he basically upsets the Rams most of the time, except when it matters in the playoff season. But his record against the Rams is super good, just like Pete Carroll's record against the Niners. The Seahawks are really good. That's it. Just a bunch of upsets in every direction.
Maybe. I just don't see the Seahawks being that good as much as I respect their new quarterback, Geno Smith. Russell Wilson was just better. Geno Smith, I don't think, made a pass that was deep at all this entire game. From what I saw, at least, a lot of the yards gained was from the receivers actually running versus how deep he threw it, and then the running backs. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how he's going to change that up against the Niners, who have a better defense than the Broncos.
Yeah, Geno Smith, I'm very like he doesn't throw like a deep ball or like a very like he doesn't he's not explosive, but he was a smart passer. I'll give him that.
Marshawn Lynch still playing, right?
Nope.
God,
he's
no.
in jail.
Yeah, and he wasn't
Well, he
playing
got-
even before that.
I think he got arrested or he got in big trouble because he got a DUI and he like took a car and smashed it. I don't know. I think Grand Theft Auto might be in the mix there.
Yeah, I don't see how. Maybe he was having too good of a time in Vegas. Was he in Vegas? I think that's what it was.
That's where all the Raiders tend to take cars and drive too fast.
Oh, there it is. There's the joke I was looking for. Yeah.
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 For anybody who
Okay,
don't know,
so-
look up Henry Ruggs.
Yeah. Henry Ruggs last season, famous for something something like hit my window.
Was it a cat or a raccoon baby? Sacrificial raccoon baby to distract you while they take the cats.
Or maybe it was Marshawn Lynch. He heard us talking. If Marshawn Lynch was at my door, I would run right now. I would be out of this fucking podcast. That guy terrifies me. Like,
What if he was throwing Skittles at your window?
then I would probably eat the Skittles because the Skittles are delicious. But Yeah, so Henry Ruggs was a receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders last year who basically took his car down the Las Vegas Strip and, like 120 miles per hour or something like that. And was it drunk driving too, or is it just speeding?
Drunk.
Drunk driving, yeah, down the Strip. So basically his whole career just plummeted down the... Like,
and he hit someone and killed them.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that detail. He killed somebody. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you drive so fucking fast down the Las Vegas Strip, which is not, it's kind of narrow as far as strips go. Yeah, I don't get how, like, I know you have a lot of money and you had a great career. What, like, excuses that give you to just get fucked up, steal a car, and drive down the Las Vegas Strip? Are you, like, bored? Like, what do you do at that point in your life? A complex?
God complex.
God complex? In what
My
sense?
question is, what do people with cars with money even drive?
I don't know,
because some people enjoy driving. It's fun for some folks.
I mean, he probably owns a Ferrari. That's like as much thrill as I would need, and I had the money if I had the money for it. But maybe this doesn't do it for him.
If you don't like driving, I believe if you have money, you buy a Bentley and then you hire a driver. If you do like driving, you can buy one of those nicer cars like a Lambo or a Ferrari and drive it yourself and enjoy it. I think he just like was in Vegas and he got drunk, drove his car, killed someone. That's it.
I'm talking about Henry Ruggs. You're talking about Marshawn Lynch.
Henry Ruggs. Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
I don't even know what he didn't kill anybody. He was just like, the cops saw him on the side of the road and he was definitely drunk. So they had to take him down and I don't know.
Didn't they say that that wasn't even his car? It was like some like, yeah. All right, good. Didn't want to like implant that in my head subtly and imply that I was racist, but he did actually steal the car. So there you go.
I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Athletes do some crazy shit because I feel like if you make it to that level, like how could you? Why would you throw all that away for something so ridiculous?
Right? Like all the athletes that lost their careers because of a little bit of weed or a night of partying. Like, you'd think that after you make a certain amount of money, it's like someone's giving you a contract and they say, don't smoke weed for a year and here is hundreds of millions of dollars. And you'd think it's very straightforward. Yeah, I just won't smoke weed. I won't do drugs. I won't do anything stupid. Like, this is my job. No, I think there's like a God complex and an idea that they might get away with it or most likely will. Or they're going to appeal this system and try to get away with it. Like, take Deshaun Watson, for example. I'm convinced that he definitely sexually assaulted all those women. But the amount of effort that his legal team is going through to appeal all these lawsuits, appeal the NFL, and try to settle are these accusations.
Yeah.
They think they can get away with it. I think they think they already have fuck you money. They don't understand that with their fuck yous, they're tied to a contract.
I think there's a difference between smoking weed and assaulting women, though, wouldn't you say? I know it's tied to a contract, but I feel bad for people like Josh Norman. The guy just wants to smoke weed, dude. I mean, he's still good whether he smokes or not. Like, it doesn't really hurt his talent. He can still play the game. But there's some weird arbitrary rule where, like, yeah, don't smoke weed while you play professional sports. Or I guess, I don't know if it's a team contract or is it an NFL rule? I have no idea. In any case, if the world can get past, smoking weed, why can't the NFL? Assaulting women, different story altogether. Yeah. Also,
but you see, you can get right back into the league after assaulting women. Look at Ray Rice. Look at Kareem Hunt.
Oh no, it's true. Yeah. Josh
like
Norman.
You can be caught on camera kicking a bitch in the face or punching one, and you'll be back playing by the following year.
Yeah, this is a conversation I know we've had because when it comes to, I don't think it's anything new, but there are a lot of like instances in our society where we hang up morality for something like this. In this case, it's like for winning a game, a sport, money, contracts, all those things come into play. You shouldn't assault anybody. Especially man over woman. That fucking That's just disgusting. You should never hit a woman. All that old school mentality, blah, 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 blah. But then, a highly talented running back for the Kansas City Chiefs can do it and find himself on a team a year later should tell you something.
The Browns suck just that much.
Yeah. Because
he kicks a few girls. Big deal. We need a goddamn Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We can't draft a QB for shit. So let's get a running back that can, if he's willing to hit a girl, he'll hit a blocker. He'll hit a defensive lineman.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just for every instance of someone doing something fucked up in the NFL, like it hits the headlines and the NFL does its job, like cleaning up the scene. They're like, yeah, we don't. Well, what's the fucking word? Like, we don't allow any of this. We don't condone it. This is garbage. We're glad he's suspended for 6 months or whatever. And then, once the news, the dust settles and the news have moved on to something else entirely, then it's like he finds himself on a different team.
Right, but now they're in a position with Deshaun Watson where the trial was like, he's suspended for 6 games. And the NFL was like, no, we're going to give him 11. Mm-hmm. And then all the lawyers and shit are like, what? Why 11? And as human beings, we're just like, bruh, he's gonna come back and play. Like, you don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah, but he settled 50 out of 52 cases. Yeah, because those two don't matter at all, huh?
I guess.
Did anybody read about the case for I believe it was for the Buffalo Bills, and their kicker with I think 2 or 3 other players got accused of sexually assaulting a minor child?
Currently, like their actual current team?
Yeah.
Jesus, no, I didn't hear about this.
What's a minor child? Just a child?
Under
minor?
18.
Just a minor?
Oh.
Yeah.
Just a minor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I was curious if anyone actually knew what happened with that case, because they reported it quite recently, right before the start of the season.
Nope, I don't know anything about it.
No. I feel like a lot of athletes just kind of have cases thrown out or just not acknowledged. Because
it's not fun enough.
It's just
the Bills.
It's not their star player. It's just the kicker, so it doesn't matter. So
literally, you can be replaced by someone that plays in the women's soccer league. Like, we're good.
Yeah. So what happened?
Now, supposedly, like I said, there was an accusation made that him and 2 or 3 other players abused the child. So I was really curious if there was any update with that. He got taken off the team, obviously, but the statement that the kicker said was we're gonna fight this and the truth will prevail and whatnot.
Abused a child like Adrian
Sexually abused a
Peterson?
child.
Okay, cool. Because Adrian Peterson got busted for just punishing a little shit.
Tyreek Hill also.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, a lot of garbage people in sports. It doesn't matter because they're talented, so we don't care about morality or ethics.
Yeah, and isn't Calvin Ridley suspended for the entire year for betting on games?
Dude, yeah, Calvin Ridley was a weird case because he left the NFL first saying he had a lot of mental issues he had to sort through. And then 2 weeks later, they suspended him for sports betting. He was betting on the NFL. Did he have some sort of insight or insider trading? I don't know how the fuck it works. If you're not on the field, what does it matter? You have no impact on the game. Unless you heard your coach saying I'm going to throw this game in 2 weeks, and then maybe you leave and go, maybe that's where you want to get your money. But if you have a contract, why do you need to place bets? You have money. I don't understand. The whole thing is bizarre to me. Yeah,
there's so many other ways to make money. But
Endorsements.
still, just the fact that he's suspended for an entire year for gambling relative to all this other stuff. If the NFL was worried about PR specifically, and you can put a tier to all these crimes, I love how gambling is the worst fucking thing you can do. And then the next one is a DUI and murder, and then under that is sexually assault or just physically abuse a woman.
Buddy, just like the actual NFL rules, the QB is always protected. It doesn't matter what they do.
Where does drugs go on that list too? The drugs are worse than hitting a girl, right? Or did they go below? Does it go below that now?
No, yeah, drugs is definitely more condemnable than hitting a woman because Josh Norman still can't find a team. Well, Josh Norman could barely find a team, but Kareem Hunt Like it was like 6-game suspension or something. Then he found himself on another team. Big deal.
I thought Josh Gordon was on the
Oh,
Chiefs.
I want to say Josh Norman, Gordon, Josh Gordon. You're right. Sorry,
Is he on the Chiefs practice squad or something like that?
I have no idea. But that guy's whole career was just stopped because of marijuana for some reason. No idea why.
And then he took down Johnny Football with him.
Yeah, John Manziel was just a fucking idiot. He's a piece of shit human being who threw away his career because he wanted to party instead of play, the sport he was paid to play. But
Whatever happened to Antonio Brown?
Oh, he went fucking crazy.
Well, aside from the obvious,
Yeah.
what happened to him now?
I don't know.
He's going on podcasts, living his life. He has a bunch of money. He's fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he
He has-
actually retired. No.
He publicly retired.
Okay. But like,
Yeah.
not that instance where he ran off the field in the middle of the game, right?
No, that is the public
Yeah.
retiring.
Okay. He didn't have to
You
say
don't
anything.
do that. Yeah. You don't do that and expect to play again anytime soon. You do that and
Yeah.
you make a statement out of leaving.
Yeah. So sorry, folks, if the football doesn't really interest you, but there are a lot of like outstanding things that happen in football that have nothing to do with the actual game. For instance, Antonio Brown, who we're talking about, literally like took his fucking. He was like mad on the sidelines about something or other, one thing or another. By the way, this is like a premier wide receiver who's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame if it weren't for this moment. I have no idea. He took off his shirt, all his padding, all that shit, and literally just walked off. He ran through the end zone, like on the field of play, threw a peace sign to the crowd, and then walked and just ran off. And that was like the last time anyone ever saw him.
And there was conflicting reasons for that. I think if you look at it from both sides, I think on the side of the team, they were saying we got one more game left in the season, and Antonio Brown was being very demanding and unreasonable. And then I don't know, I think I could be making this up, but then on the side of Antonio Brown, he knew that he had bonus incentives in his contract, and he was under the impression that they would not give him the ball to get those incentives because I think he needed some touchdowns and some yards. And that's why it was important that they had another game in this season, because he essentially just quit like the second to last game. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were still trying to make it into the playoffs, I believe. So this game was kind of important to them. And at the time, I believe he was also living at Tom Brady's house, and he was accusing Tom Brady of not being supportive or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if his wife was also pissed off that this absolute psychopath was sleeping in their guest house around their kids.
Yeah. I mean, do you go as far as to blame CTE? Or do you just say that some people are just garbage?
I mean, I read the same thing that Omid was talking about the yardage, because supposedly he got benched, or they weren't letting him play his yards to get those bonuses that he was mentioning. So that's why he went off the rails and said, fuck you, essentially. If you're going to not let me play to get my extra money, screw your whole team. Whether he's personally a piece of shit or not, the guy he seems like if anybody has a god complex, it's him. He thinks he's better than everybody else.
Yeah, what was that
definitely.
famous tweet from a few weeks ago? He's like,
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
No, it was something about him. He wants to watch himself play football, and it's not like watching clips of himself. He wants to be like out of body in the stands while he watches himself play football because he thinks he's that good or something like that. This is like something he said a few weeks ago. Absolutely nut job, but like, the talent's there, so who cares? What you don't do is basically leave your team in the middle of a game like that. I mean, if you're 30, was he 34, 32? Something like that.
Around there.
Yeah, he's had an illustrious career. It's like maybe at that point in your career you decide to say fuck it. But the principle involved is like you basically just left your team. You let everyone down around you. There are like 52 other people who depend on you. And because you had some sort of, conflicts with the politics, I understand that. That sucks. You don't just get up and walk away from a team. I mean, in the middle of a game, literally, let alone the middle of it. Like, middle of a season, it happens. Literally in the middle of a game. Like, couldn't stand it anymore. That's like next level, and especially when you're being paid so much money. And like, I'm just a simpleton. Like, I'm not a superhuman athlete freak, and I don't get paid millions of dollars to play a game. But if I'm being paid to literally, like, look at it, like at its base, you're playing a game, dude. like fucking, it must be so difficult to do something you love every day that require, like, it's a lot of like physical and emotional stress. I get that, sure, but like it's just a game. Like at the base of it all, it's like fun to do. Like I can play football for free as like something I would do outside of work. If it becomes your job and you're being paid a bajillion dollars to do it, count yourself fucking lucky. Number one, and number two, you don't get up and just leave in the midst of it. That's ridiculous. You threw away you let everyone else down and you threw away a career for it. But at that point, once you're past your prime, I guess you can just say fuck it. Maybe you're allowed to say fuck it. Yeah.
True, yeah. I mean, it is interesting to see that these are people that made a career out of, as we call it, playing a game.
Yeah.
And I feel like we kind of frown upon it more than we would other careers because essentially they're not really contributing anything to society with what they've dedicated their lives to building a skill. You know, like this is really hard work. They're genetic freaks. Back in the day, like these are equivalent to gladiators and shit. These are the warriors that we see sent off to war, and they fight wars and they go into the arenas and they kill each other for our entertainment. Like it's just straight up entertainment, distraction.
Yeah.
Sports are beautiful because it allows the boss of a company to relate to his workers because we're all from the same town and whatever. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, it doesn't. You're essentially playing a game which most people love to do. People are competitive by nature and they want to play games and make money versus somebody that works in the coal mines or whatever. So it's a shame to see, especially the amount they get paid to play the game. Like, I don't want to talk about pay discrepancies, but what I will say is that there are plenty of women that play in the WNBA for much less than men do. They're not happy about their pay, probably because they're jealous, but they still do. So the potential of how much you can pay these athletes to do their job because they're not actually worth that much, but because of the entertainment value, they're worth more. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah. And we have talked about this before, so plug that right here. Actually, on multiple occasions we've talked about sports. So another plug here again. So we talked about the pay discrepancy, pay gap in men's versus women's sports, and then we also talked about like how people get paid to play sports as a form of entertainment versus like streamers playing video games. So both those plugs going up here at some point. What I will say about entertainment and playing sports and stuff like that is like, yeah, if you're being paid a bunch of money, it's hard to say that you have any say. Like, how do you have a say in the matter? Number one, yeah, throw it away is one. Throwing it away is stupid. That's ridiculous. Fuck, I lost where I was going with this. This is fucking upsetting because my brain, I just lost track of what I was going for. Oh yeah, that's right. So the other day I was having a conversation with my dad, and he was like, we were watching something. I think it was the preseason, so before the season started. But we were talking about football, watching football, and it's weird. It's crazy to me that like athletes in general, especially football players, their lifespan playing a sport, was it like 10 years? If you're the quarterback, it could be like, longer. Tom Brady has the record like 20 something seasons. Insane. But like, think of it this way. If the human lifespan's like 75, 80 years and you're playing for 10 of those, like, and you're being paid an absorbent amount of money to play for those 10 years, what do you do with like the other 70 years of your life? And how does all the money you make in 10 years, can you keep that up for the rest of your life? Does that actually like equate to someone with like a regular job and they're working for 65 years? And so we got in this conversation where my dad's like, well, what if you like become a doctor, and a doctor can make $1 million a year easy, but they go to school for like 30 years or whatever to try to get to that level. Like like from grade school all the way to like their doctorate or whatever. They work like half their life, and then they can work up until basically their like whatever retirement age. So they teach themselves they learn for 30 years, get the education, take out huge loans probably, and like waste all that money. So they're in debt basically by the time they start their career. But then they work for a substantial amount of money, but at a slower rate than athletes. So like over the next 30 years. So let me ask you this. If you had like the capability to just pick a path, like just assume no matter which direction you go, you're well suited for it. You could say, I'm going to become an athlete for 10 years, work my ass off 365, 24/7 to be at top physical form, mentally too, understand my game to the fullest extent, and try to reach the pinnacle of what I'm doing. Or do you take the other route and get paid, or you work for 30 years and then you coast on that for the next 30 years. Your workload won't be as intense. It will be difficult because, it's still like medical. It sucks. But you can control your own hours if you own your own, practice. There are things like that. But you're not being like, you're not physically being ailed, number one. And number two, your schedule isn't as intense. Who do you think wins out in that like between both? If that makes sense. Like, which direction would you go?
Obviously, the bang for your buck is the athlete. Also, like, if you look at the stress on your body, the risk of injury, there's a lot of risks that goes into being an athlete. But then again, like, a lot of risk going into med school. I know plenty of people that are getting doctorates, whether it be med school, pharmacy school, dental school, anything, where they're going to be doctors, but they also take so many drugs to be able to study and retain the information that they need. Plus, most of these people, they're very young. You got to imagine, they're like one generation below us. We're all like in our early 30s now.
Yeah.
These guys want to go out and party all the damn time. And a lot of them have the intelligence to do it, but then they supplement it too with whether it be, some form like amphetamines, anything they can get their hands on. And I remember I was talking to a pharmacy student and I was like, damn, like that sounds rough. How do you guys get through it? And he was just like, we just know the best drugs to take.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, I believe it. So there's obviously a cost benefit analysis that needs to happen here.
Sure.
And I think at the end of the day, it becomes, what are your priorities? If you just want to make money and be successful, the athlete route is the best, because not only do you play for 10 years and get millions of dollars, but if you're good enough or smart enough, become an analyst, go on ESPN or TNT and comment on games, you'll have a career forever. Or enter coaching. You can do that for the rest of your life too. But I feel like, and I don't mean to take a crack at people and athletes or in the sports world, but if you want to leave a more meaningful impact in people's lives, I think the doctor route's the way to go. Like, if you want to say that you actually contributed to society in a meaningful way and people actually appreciate you for the service you've done them to save their life. Granted, I know from personal experience that a lot of these people are not appreciative, but again, like, at least that you did something to help to improve someone's life in some way. I think that's important too.
That's cool.
But it just depends on what your priorities are in life. But if it is to make money, yeah, athlete's the way to go. But that also requires the genes to be able to do it.
So here's the pitfall with the athlete thing that I also want to bring up. So this is the same conversation I was having with my dad. So think of it this way: for all, like, to reach like the pinnacle of like human athletics in any sport, like, you basically have to be like the top like 1% at what you do. But even if you make it that far, to become someone like the best in the world, like your Kobe Bryant's, or your Tom Brady's, or Michael Jordan's, and so on and so forth, to make the big bucks in such a short span of time, like, how many of those people actually make it? Or how many of those people make it to the professional level and get paid like the minimum, and they're sitting on the bench for most of their career? And like, how much is that worth to them once they're done after like 5-10 years or whatever? Like, are you actually making enough to like live the rest of your life? Are you gonna be comfortable, or is that just money that you can be pissed away really easily? Like,
I mean, that's the beauty of the country, where we live in a country where it's as easy to lose money as it is to gain money.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of athletes that are dirt broke. Like, schools are almost forced to teach kids how to finance and take care of their money because they don't know how to do it themselves, and they'll blow it all. They'll be peer pressured by their friends to invest in stupid shit.
mm,
So it's really easy to lose that money too. And
Yeah.
well, you said something else that I wanted to make a comment on, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so you have all that money. It doesn't really mean anything either if you can't maintain it.
right. Which just happens to a lot of athletes. Even if you're at the best of your game, sometimes a lot of them make like, because like I said, it's like 10, 15 years. Then what do you do with the rest of your time? How do you keep that money around? So
Yeah.
I think you have to make investments.
Yeah, I just remembered too. I was talking to somebody earlier about it too, how you can have players like Andrew Bynum that played for the Los Angeles Lakers back when they won that first championship. Literally, he was meant to be a replacement for Shaq, a 7'1" big black dude, plays center, is he's like a real enforcer in the league. But just for being that tall and big, but his skill level wasn't actually at Shaq's level, this man got paid like $20 million to sit on the bench the entire year
Yeah.
for like a few years. That is fucking unfair, but again, it is what it is. The man just had the right genes, played the game for a little bit, and he made millions of dollars from it, which is more proof that the taller you are, just the more benefits you get in life no matter what. Life is just so much easier the taller you are.
Oh, 100%. Don't get me started on that. I'll go down that rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
I mean, the same conversation that I was having this morning with the same person.
Yeah.
He said he has a friend whose Tinder profile only says, I'm 6'8". What else do you need?
Yeah, boom, and then like just flooded inbox. Like,
Yeah,
talked
it is.
about that right here, episode 4. Remember that very distinctly. One of my favorite topics we ever talked about: dating apps and how easy it is when you're super big, super tall. You fit the
Right.
mold, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If-
Meanwhile, Vlad questions why we would give up an inch of penis for an inch of height.
yeah. Also, that episode right
Because he does not understand the plights of being
Yeah.
6 foot or less than 6 feet. And let me tell you a fun fact in life that you guys will think is a joke, but you really got to think about it. There is no such thing as a man that's 5'11".
That's a thinker.
It's deep. I don't want to explain it because I feel like it would ruin the magic of that joke. But
I
it
think I
says a
get
lot
it.
about society.
I think I get it.
You
Should
think
I-
you get it?
Should I just tell you how I
go
think?
ahead. Go ahead.
Because most people will just round up to 6 foot, right? Yeah.
Boom.
Everyone's that's what you do. You
That's
lie
what you
about
do.
it. The 1 inch is something that you can just round up from.
Exactly.
Because it's sexy when you're 6 foot, but 5'11" is meh. I don't know.
It's just not the same.
Yeah.
That's the threshold, 6 feet. And it's such an arbitrary number because feet and inches are such bullshit measurements, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's what we use. God forbid we use centimeters, and that's going to be like a number in the hundreds that we yearn for.
Yeah. Man, okay, we can start on that topic about like height and how that affects people mentally, physically, like how it affects your world altogether. Height and like stature play an important role, whether you believe it or not. There's a whole like psychological breakdown we can go through, but I don't know. We can go there or we can go a separate route. But I think I'm gonna take this moment right here to cut to a break, and we'll come back with more of Does This Offend You after this. Does This Offend You is absolutely, definitely, and undoubtedly brought to you by this 100% totally real sponsor. Today's episode of Does This Offend You is brought to you by popcorn. But not just any popcorn. Homemade popcorn. Brought to you by West Bend Popcorn Machine. Now, as you can see here, folks, I am a man of taste, complex taste, and I will not settle for just any over-the-shelf popcorn, on-the-shelf popcorn, if you will. Any type of popcorn, doesn't fucking matter. I am somebody who takes my popcorn very seriously. So when I drive out of my way to go to the movie theater every Sunday to buy myself a big bag of popcorn to take home, I thought to myself, why the fuck am I doing this? I could easily just make this at home. And you know what? I can now because I have this popcorn machine. And the thing is, it's not just any old popcorn machine. You know, you could go to the theater or you can go to the store, pop a bag in the microwave and say, hey, this tastes just like the thing. Hell, the box could even say movie theater popcorn. And you know what? They're bold-faced liars. They're lying to you. It's nothing like the real thing. But you know, the closest you'll ever get to making movie theater popcorn at home is right here in this little popcorn machine. And as you can tell, it's not industrial size, but it is better than your microwave. And I will say, after using this, it looks brand new. Actually, it is brand new because I did use it and I put it on my oven. Huge mistake. Don't ever cook popcorn on your oven because the plastic on this thing will melt immediately. Tremendously, by the way. It will morph into some sort of mosaic art piece. It's incredible. Don't ever put it on the oven. But I have used this and I can tell you for a fact, homemade popcorn will never be the same because you can just put your butter in here, put your salt in there, throw the popcorn kernels right in the mix, let it do the work for you, and out pops delicious, fresh, buttery popcorn that you can make at home. Don't ever drive to the movie theater ever again. You can just stream, so there's really no excuse to leave your house anymore. Homemade popcorn by West Bend. Thank you very much.
You know, the next step for you is to buy those like butter dispensers that they have. Like just or you can just melt your own butter and make the same crap that they do and put it in like a hopefully cleaned out soap dispenser and just kind of do it yourself. Just like smush it in there.
Buddy,
You know what I mean?
buddy, it exists. They already have those liquid butter dispensers. I can buy it on Amazon for $15.
I know they do,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, you're just trying to be frugal. You
Yeah.
already have like a mini version of the real thing. Why not just
Yeah.
get like a Dove soap shampoo bottle and fill it up and just use that just be as ghetto as fuck? Because here's the thing too,
Yeah.
if you buy one of like a smaller version, like a hand soap one, you can just put it on your like coffee table. So when people are eating popcorn at your house in those tiny bowls you have, they can just buy themselves, just like dispense it themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, no one would ever touch just a random shampoo bottle sitting on your counter, right? They won't
No,
fuck
no,
with your
but-
butter.
But also maybe consider getting material that's not plastic, because we've learned that your products melt, Danny.
That's true. Because
The things you advertise are capable of melting. Now that we know, so don't put piping hot butter in a
I mean-
soap dispenser.
PSA, maybe don't leave anything on your oven while you're using it that's flammable or can melt easily. I learned that
Yes.
mistake. But the thing is, it's weird because the whole time I was by the oven, yes, the oven itself was hot, but everything around it was not. Like the wood I put this on wasn't hot. It was actually like fairly cold. So I don't know how the plastic melted. Does heat just like not, like, I don't know. I'm not a physicist. Does heat go around the wood and then penetrate the plastic? I don't know. Whatever. It's too much to think about. I already replaced it. I love this fucking thing, dude. I'll never go back to the movie theater ever again. Well, that's not true, but now I have less of a reason to go. Yeah.
Hermit lifestyle.
Yeah, man.
So I wanted to talk about something very interesting to me that I stumbled upon recently. I don't know if you guys have seen the ads for that new show, Mike, that's been going around.
Nope.
It's a show produced. It's like a biopic regarding Mike Tyson, and it's made by Hulu, and it's been very actively sponsored on YouTube and all these other platforms for people to watch. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm interested. Let's take a look. And the show so far, I think there's like 4 or 5 episodes out of the first season, and it's really good. It's not like a documentary. It's literally just a guy playing Mike Tyson through his like really young, like beginning of his life, through becoming a boxer and all such.
It's not Jamie Foxx, is it?
No,
Okay, Jamie Foxx is filming a movie about Mike, and he's playing Mike Tyson, right?
either Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali.
No, I think Will Smith already did Muhammad Ali. I'm pretty sure Jamie Foxx is doing Mike Tyson, but keep going.
Either way, TV show about Mike Tyson through his early years, and the show's really good. Like, it definitely, like, the actors are good, and they have like a lot of familiar characters like Don King in there, and I watched and I got to like episode 4 or 5, and that episode covers the rape case that Mike Tyson got roped into, where he, you know, raped the girl and was found guilty. And I watched and I was like, this is some heavy shit. Like, legitimately heavy as fuck. And I was surprised by, like, to what extent, because at the end of that episode, they talk about how the rape victim, she took him to court, got him arrested and whatnot, and she didn't fucking take a penny, never sold her story to anybody, just kind of took him to court and left it, and just disappeared off the face of the earth, essentially, from the public eye, because she was like, I want to make my story heard. And that was heavy for me. And then afterwards, they also mentioned how Mike Tyson got caught on a hot mic after the trial at a Don King speech, being like, I should have killed that raggedy bitch, on a hot mic. And that also really, you know, cemented his grievance in life. But I was really surprised that this kind of show came out, and I was like curious, did Mike Tyson even fucking make this show? Did he produce it? Anything at all? It's his life. I go online, and turns out that he put up like a whole social media post that basically Hulu made a show about his life without contacting him, asking anything about him, didn't even pay him a fucking penny. And supposedly they went to Dana White, you know, the owner of the UFC, and they offered him, I think, $1 million to promote the show for them, but he declined. And Mike Tyson also was like, yeah, my brother Dana White, he received an offer from them for $1 million to promote the show, and these motherfuckers didn't even pay me a fucking penny about my life. So it's crazy. And I was thinking about it. How much legally are you allowed to make a show or a biography about somebody else without their consent?
We're about to find out because he's suing him for it.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
My question is, what does Dana White have to do with Mike Tyson? Because Mike Tyson never fought in the UFC. It wasn't even like a thing when he was boxing.
Yeah, but it's still mixed martial arts. You can incorporate boxing in there, and people watch UFC, so it's like a great platform to promote a show about fighting or about a fighter on a fighting platform.
Yeah, you're right. That was a stupid question, but yeah, like why not during a boxing event? I guess maybe UFC is outselling boxing. But yeah, that's not the only thing. Like Mike Tyson, by the way, I did see something where he talked about the rape case on like a different podcast. By the way, Mike, if you ever want to air something out, come to our podcast here. Hashtag at does this offend you? Blah blah blah. But but please,
the man who already went on JRE. And shit.
Yeah, whatever, man. We can hang with the best of them. We won't, no slander here, just the truth. That's all. Anyway, so
hey, don't forget our podcast is just whatever.
Yeah, it's just so no pressure, Mike. Come show up, hang out, eat some popcorn. Anyway, yeah, just like Omid does it all the time. So I saw a thing where he was on a podcast and he talked about like the whole rape case or whatever. And like, here's the thing. Yeah, it sucks that Mike was involved in something like that, but there are two things I learned from this podcast interview. One, that this case was real. Like, I thought it was just something that got brushed off, and then he went on to win the world title again. And it was like, haha, get it. People are just trying to make a monster out of Mike Tyson because he's too good to exist. And number two is the fact that Mike Tyson this affected him deeply because he talked about it. And let's be clear here. This guy is not a good actor. He tried the acting thing for a couple of years. Did not work. What I saw was a man who was deeply broken, talking about how this case affected his life and is like, he has like a daughter and now she has to hear about it or whatever. And like, it just really humanized the man who was just like for a living, just destroyed other human beings and was known as the baddest man on the planet for such a long time. And, I just thought it was kind of cool, kind of sweet actually. Like, hey man, like this guy isn't just a bunch of fists. He actually has emotions.
He's a very smart man.
Yeah,
all the
I believe
investments
it.
he's made, all the success he's had, he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an animal for sure, but I mean that in the most complimentary way.
Yeah.
Man can fight really well. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. And as we talked about earlier in this episode, a lot of athletes lose their money very quickly. And he did lose his money, but then he gained it back. Because I believe he's doing shows in Vegas now where he's just doing monologues about his own life. And people show up for that shit.
He's doing that currently?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, that's how the show is built off, is that he's standing in front of an audience talking about his life with the face tattoo and all that. And yeah. But no, I mean, I can definitely see he's a smart guy just from this show alone of how he grew up and how he basically correlated his early life of like thieving and all the bullshit that he did as a kid to his professional life. The problem is, like, Mike Tyson, he's been through the ringer for a very long time. He started his boxing career at what, 13?
Probably.
And I think he started at 13. The dude, he grew up he himself, from what I've learned from this biopic show, is that his mom was very harsh on him. I guess he had two other siblings. He had a brother and a sister. The brother became a well-paid surgeon. The sister, I'm not sure what she did exactly, but he was basically the black sheep in his family. And yeah, he grew up, in some shitty conditions, with the mom having boyfriends coming in and out and being abused, and them being homeless at one point. So he had a very troubled life early on with school and all that stuff, and he got involved with like gangs, going around robbing people, all this stuff. So I get it. And when he finally got money coming in, as the story goes, he was really trying to convince his mom by telling her like, "Hey, I'm doing better," and his mom still kept basically spitting in his face, being like, "You're still a fuck up." And I think that him being, taken up by what was his trainer's name, Gus or Cuss, something like that. The guy basically telling him, "Hey, like I'm gonna," basically adopting him officially and bringing him to his family home, really touched him, and he became very attached to like his trainer's wife, because once the trainer died of pneumonia, he continued paying for the house and taking care of the mother, um, of the wife. And later in his life, when he did get all that money, and his first wife, her name was, I think, Robin. She and her mother, they very much took advantage of him, and they tried to push him in directions of being like, "Hey, people are taking advantage of you. They are taking your money. You're paying for your old trainer's house and taking care of his wife for what? What's the point?" And he had from his ex-wife, who basically was a shitty ass gold digger, to Don King, who came in and took over all of his money, financial operations, and like Mike Tyson knew he had money, but he didn't know how much. He was kind of kept in the dark, but anything he wanted, he just asked for, and it was given to him. And he, in that period of time, that lifestyle, he really was, at least from the episode with the rape, he talks about himself as like, "I was an animal. I did what I did. I had I felt like I was allowed to do what I wanted." He essentially did have like a essential God complex, if you want to call that too. And he, with the rape victim, I guess she was part of a beauty pageant of some sort, and so he showed up there, and people at the trial recalled how all the girls who were present in this trial, they were like, "Yeah, he was just trying to hit on us and get some ass." And a lot of people back then felt like the girl who got raped was very naive, or she was also a gold digger trying to get her, 50 minutes of limelight, because they're like, "Yeah, he was very upfront with us. Why would he be any different with her? Why was she so stupid to leave with him at like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning to go hang out with him?" And it was interesting seeing how like the black community in that show really was up in arms against her, and only willing to back up, not the whole community, but majority of people were willing to back up Mike Tyson, because they dubbed her as somebody who's trying to bring down a black man into success. And that whole series really, like I said, it shook me, and that's why I came up with the questions: to what extent can somebody who's not affiliated with you have the legal means to produce a movie or a show about you, about your life, accurate or not? What legality do they have? Because they've done like biopics on O.J. Simpson, right? We've seen those, and he wasn't involved in them either. Half the time, O.J. Simpson spent in prison, but there wasn't any backlash for it, was there?
Yeah, I don't like. When did OJ leave? Was OJ even in prison? What did he go to prison for?
He got put in prison for armed robbery, because I guess he tried to rob a bank or something with an assault rifle, and just random shit. Okay. It was later after his wife's murder that he went to prison.
So,
but
okay.
Go ahead.
From what I understand, okay, so they made a show a couple years ago on FX called The People versus O.J. Simpson, which basically broke down the entire trial, and O.J. was on the show. I think it's played by Cuba Gooding Jr. or something. Mm-hmm. John Travolta was on it too. And from what I understand is that you cannot make a show about somebody legally without their written consent, because their character is something like, whether they have a trademark on it or not, them as a person that exists and their story is something that has to be signed off on before you can turn it into a show, from what I understand. So to some degree, people have to sign off on this, whether it be a lawyer or the person themselves. If it's like a lawyer doing it on your behalf, that's probably where like there's like a gray area as to how these people get away with making these shows without losing a ton of money or getting sued. But yeah, the rights to your life and your story are yours and yours alone, which is actually, if believe it or not, if you at the end of every movie, if there's always like a disclaimer that says the people depicted in this film are like, if they're like people in this film that are fictional, like if they're depicting this film, it's just like a coincidence that they happen to share the same name as someone else, blah, 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 blah. Because, if you make like a fictional film and you create these characters, if someone on this planet shares the same name and likelihood is the key word, as people in this film, they could sue your balls off for using your likeness and your life story. So, yeah, that's something that's protected. Like everybody who makes a film always has to like cover their ass on something like this, which means either getting the person themselves to sign off on it, or if they're making like a work of fiction, saying that this has nothing to do with this person at all. This is not real. You have to. It has to be one or the other. But if it is something that's going to be slated in reality, you have to get the actual person to sign off on it.
What about when EA Sports made video games and they used college players' likeness, but due to some rules and regulations from the NCAA, they actually got away with using players' likeness without paying them a dime.
Oh, because that's the NCAA, and they've been doing that since the dawn of time. They're a garbage enterprise. They take advantage of.
Is it the same thing?
No, because they're not athletes who are paid, and they also, since they enrolled in that school, it's like they give up their rights to anything like that to the school themselves, which is nuts to me. You basically sign your life away if you play college basketball. No money, and they get to use you for whatever they want.
So I'm reading essentially Sport right now, and about the whole situation. And what I'm reading here, it says that he's not able to sue Hulu for stealing his life. I'm trying to find out exactly why he can't sue them. But he also commented in an interview where he's like, I feel horrible that I can't even do anything about it, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this whole case.
That's weird, dude. That's sticky. It's fucked up. Yeah. What's up?
Like I said, I mean, Mike Tyson, I don't know him personally, obviously enough, and he's a great fighter. I think people really do get manipulated by money quite often. It didn't help his case that when he did get accused and was taken to court and lost, that unlike what most people suspect would happen, that the survivor didn't, push to get any money. She never sold her story. She didn't really milk the whole situation. She kind of took him, got him found guilty, and fell off the face of the public eye. And on top of that, the fact that he got caught on a hot mic without realizing it, saying, I should have killed that raggedy bitch when I had the chance, really paints him in a bad light.
Yeah, but how would you feel if someone did that to you? I don't know.
I can totally imagine Danny getting screwed over by someone, I don't know, stealing his catalytic converter and then wanting to kill them.
Yeah. I said that on one of our podcasts before. I was like, dude, if this ever happens again, I'm going to curb stomp somebody who tries to steal my converter if I catch them in the act. Which actually, legally, you can be held accountable for that. So if there's like a murder up front of my house and there's like a body under my Prius, like the Prius could have fallen on this guy by accident. But because I said that, they can come after me because I could be like an actual suspect in murdering this guy, which is like a thing. Yeah. So
okay, that's fair. I'm just saying it's a bit more touchy with the aspect of like the whole rape thing, because when people, like I said, if she was to hypothetically would have taken him to court, got him found guilty, and then just milked the living crap out of him and got a huge payday and all this stuff, that would have been, you're a gold digger. She didn't do that. She just kind of left, and she left it at that. And the fact that he got so much backlash is what essentially pushed him to be like, I should have killed that raggedy bitch when I had the chance. Like, don't.
What do you mean?
Don't go down that path.
Well, why not? Why if you're frustrated, why not say things with no substance? I say shit with no substance all the time, and so do you, and so does Omid. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what people do.
It's a bit different when you're in the public eye and being mad about something that's rape. When you're mad about raping somebody,
if he actually did rape them,
he again found guilty.
Yeah.
Argued multiple days, able to get the necessary means to do so. It wasn't just on a whim. I'm not saying that, I think he did it or not. I'm not there, but as of right now, he was found guilty. So in my book, he is guilty. And for him to pursue it further by making commentary like that, it's like, dude, learn to shut the fuck up sometimes.
No, but Vlad, what about the false evidence you depicted in this episode? You can't tell if it's real or not.
Well, as of right now, like I said, yes, false evidence, of course.
Dude,
I'm saying it from a professional aspect is, so far he was found guilty. Unfortunately, you can never get the full story, but as far as being able to convince a jury of your peers, he lost. And, I mean, that sucks for him, and he had some good lawyers supposedly on his back, but everything built up against him.
Okay. I'm not gonna like really get into the details of the case. I don't know too much about it. A hot mic on a guy saying shit because he's frustrated. Like, yeah, that was careless. Don't even know if the mic should have been on in the first place. That's kind of weird. Was he like, I don't know.
It was with a reporter.
Yeah, but so he's talking to a reporter, and did he know the mic was on? Like, that's a whole different thing. Also, yeah. So there's also that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's fucked up. If you're saying that's a reporter, I should have killed the bitch. Like, that's careless. Fine. I'm really just more. I care more about like the show itself. Like, if all this is painting Mike as like a monster and like without him having to defend himself, like there are two ways to think about this. If Mike had his hand in production on the show and he painted himself as a hero, that's kind of stupid. If he had nothing to do with the show and they're just using him as like the archetype of like a bad fucking person, then that's also just as fucked up, because both of them are basically diluting the truth in a way.
Well, the show itself, he's painted as a really good person who had a rough life coming up. He's not painted as a bad guy. It's only, like I said, the 4th or 5th episode where the rape trial is covered that it's like shit hits the fan, because they try to recreate the scene and all this stuff. It gets more graphic.
Yeah.
So, and they try to, take the actual means of what happened at the trial and have created everything and kind of, use the actors to show what went down, what he said and what she said and all that stuff. It's at that point where it's like, whoa, did he really agree to this kind of episode being made? The other 4 episodes beforehand, you feel bad for the guy, or you're impressed with how much he was able to push through all the difficulties. But at that one episode, at that one point, that's where you're kind of like sitting there watching and just scratching your head, being like, why would he approve this? That's why I was curious. But as of right now, it seems like he just can't do anything. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure. I was trying to ask you guys because I was curious genuinely if you had any idea, but I guess he can't sue them.
Do you guys remember what happened with Donald Sterling? Was it Donald Sterling, the owner of the Clippers a few years back?
I don't know.
You guys remember the owner of the Clippers who basically got canceled because his girlfriend or wife at the time posted a recording of a phone conversation he had where he referred to like black athletes in negative light.
I vaguely remember that actually. Yeah.
So basically, like, I think he ended up suing her and winning that case because it's illegal to use someone's private conversations in a court case like that. So without telling them. So in a courtroom, it can't be used as proof. But in the public eye, which, I agree with what you're saying for the most part, Vlad, but in the public eye, the fact that it was presented to them, they can judge him however they want based on that clip, because the public eye also doesn't care about context or anything, or the fact that it was in private and maybe he was passionate at the time. Like, I remember one of my favorite examples of people speaking with passion and getting in trouble for it was when the 49ers were playing the Seahawks in the playoffs, and Richard Sherman didn't intercept the ball, but he blocked that pass going to Crabtree, and he goes in front of the mic and he just starts cussing and talking shit, and they just won the game. They're going to the Super Bowl. He's excited. The media not only put a camera on him while he's in this like testosterone-induced stupor of I'm a fucking champion, and then everybody got on him like, oh, how can he like not have good sportsmanship, and how can he be like this? And as we talked about before, like, these are like the men of men. They're playing a very competitive game, and when you're very passionate, you're gonna say some things that you might regret or you might not have like too much control over. And I know, you should always have control, but sometimes, like, when your animalistic instincts are kicking in, you're taking off your filter and you're just going based on rage. And apparently the other player, Crabtree, was talking mad shit before all of this. So for Richard Sherman to shove it in his face, like, yeah, I won, like, shut the hell up, like, honestly, like, I think sometimes you just need to let people be people and speak their mind. And we're talking about a player who was a communication major at Stanford and has never had a bad interview in his life. Yeah. Like, this man was really good at controlling what he says. But when you shove a mic in someone's face when they are most passionate, expect them to say some shit that is not gonna fly in the public eye. So, like, in the owner of the Clippers case, where he said some things about former players that were not so tasteful. He said it in the privacy of his own phone conversations and it shouldn't have gone public. No one's talking about that so much as what he said, which is unfortunate. And same thing goes with Mike Tyson. If what happened wasn't true, if he never actually raped that woman, which he claims to be the case, so, we can believe the courts, and I'm totally comfortable doing that too. I believe he might have done it. But at the same time, if he believes that this was all a lie and it was all bullshit and this woman ruined his life and he's completely innocent, I don't blame him for saying, I wish I killed her. Because honestly, I've felt the same way about some people in my life. And I've even so passionately said, I don't want to kill them because I don't have it in me to murder somebody. But man, would I love to watch them die. Like if I saw this person suffocating on the side of the street, even though I'm trained in CPR and I can save her life, I would fucking just watch her die. Because it's not my responsibility. I didn't do it. But yeah. So I kind of get where he's coming from too. But you can also have that same emotion if you really did it. Like, oh, I can't believe they snitched on me, that bitch. Like, she ruined my life. And it's like kind of like the more vain and narcissistic way of looking at it. Like, I should have gotten away with it.
Right.
All I'm gonna say is that it's always interesting. Aside from the whole entire making movie, the biopic about somebody's life without their permission, the prospect of how private conversations, aside from I guess attorney-client privilege, can't be admissible in court because they don't know they're being recorded. It's definitely for me always been kind of a moral gray area because people definitely say the things that they want to say that they're thinking without people when they don't feel like they're going to be when it can be used against them. For me, I feel like you should be able to, within reason, I guess. I don't know what reason. I can't make an argument for what reason you would have to hold that kind of limit to, but if somebody gets caught on camera or on recording saying something stupid and basically admitting that that they did what they did and are guilty, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't be able to use that in court. I get it that why they don't do it because we're against the whole spying aspect, Big Brother and all that, but people lie a lot and sometimes the truth comes out when they don't think anybody else is listening.
Sure.
Remember when Trump got recorded on the Access Hollywood bus talking about famously grabbing pussies?
Yeah.
And then so many people came out talking shit and then they were like, oh no, it's just like locker room talk. We're just the guys talking. So many guys are like, I've been in plenty of locker rooms in my life and I've never heard anybody talk like that. And the only thing that I could think of is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I too have been in plenty of locker rooms in my life. And yes, most of the conversations are lame and boring as hell. Like, what'd you do this weekend? But I've also been around a lot of very macho men that say dumb shit like that. And the fact that there were so many men that were like trying to create this smear campaign, it was a private conversation. And I guarantee you that there are people in Donald Trump's life with the amount of money that he has that want him to essentially grab their pussy because he can essentially take any of these girls that he wanted in his heyday and they would not complain one bit.
Sure.
A lot of gold diggers out there, a lot of these hoes, they exist. But for people to act like it doesn't exist, but then treat his statement as if literally every single woman that he's around, if he wants him, he's going to grab him by the vagina. Again, private conversations, people say what they want. They can easily be taken out of context. And that's just the world we live in now. Was it ever used against him in court in a rape trial? Nope. Because Stormy Daniels tried to get him, remember that? Or whatever that bullshit was.
Yeah. It wasn't too long ago either.
Yeah, no, it wasn't at all. But like, you'll see people that use these public, they'll put these private conversations out in the public. You can't use them legally, but you can damn well ruin someone's reputation with them.
I'm just going to say that I agree with you in regards to private conversations or private conversations if it's about random bullshit. But again, if it's something that you are being investigated for and it's incriminating for you, why not?
Most definitely. I think if someone straight up says, yeah, I killed them on a recording, that should totally be used against them. But if it's anything outside of an admission of guilt, then you're gonna also need the full context. Like, you need full blown from beginning to end. No, there can't be any question that they did the act that they're admitting to if you're gonna use it against them in a court of law. So if Mike Tyson is making a comment about wanting to kill somebody, he's not saying I did it. He's saying I wish I did it. Totally different.
Yep. That's why I don't use that Gestapo shit, Vlad. Fascist. Anyway, so another show that I really liked that actually had kind of like the same thing as the Mike Tyson show was, you guys ever watch Winning Time?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I told you about this specifically. Winning Time is a show.
Yeah.
Vlad, have you like walked into the living room while I was watching it? The basketball one? No. So there's a show called...
Oh, you mean about Magic Johnson?
Yeah, there's a show called Winning Time, not just about Magic Johnson, but it's about like the rise of the 80s Lakers dynasty. And this show is fucking wild. Not just that the events actually took place from all the research I've done, very minimal by the way, but they do exist to some form that like they're admitted to be real. So a lot of crazy shit happened. Awesome. But the way it was depicted, like the artistic styling of the show, everything is super exaggerated and everyone is a caricature. They're all like really divisive. But it doesn't stop any of the things in the show from being any less or any less or any more true. Like everything that happened in the show took place. It's just fucking the way it was done was crazy as shit. Like Magic Johnson might be the only character on the show who doesn't look like a complete asshole. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry West, Jerry Buss.
Jerry West was pissed about the show.
Dude, because everybody in the show, every character had like some sort of role to play. Jack McKinney was fucking awesome, but also he was kind of a dick. Like there was like everybody, every character, every role meant something to the overall plot and how it was depicted. It all factual, but just kind of just the way it was portrayed was just kind of wild and crazy, just to kind of like bring to light how nuts reality was. It was overblown on purpose, and I think that's artistic styling that I was really cool with. Like the show was incredible, but of course, everybody involved in the show, everybody whose likeness was used, were just hated it, and I would understand why completely. And I think they all basically signed off on it, or there was a book that was written about them I think that's the loophole. There may have been a book. Same thing with the Mike Tyson thing. Maybe there was a book where somebody wrote about them and they got everybody to like he got the rights to use their names and their story within the book, and then the book was adapted for the TV shows. I think that might be like the weird loophole that you can get away with. But anyway, I'm not sure entirely. But everybody in the show is fucking nuts. Yeah, like Jerry West is just angry the whole time. He has no other emotion. It's just anger, and that's the way he was used. Jerry Buss is like a womanizer who doesn't give a shit about anybody. He like basically like lies and cheats and steals his way to owning the Lakers, which is crazy. And he's kind of like, I wouldn't, if I were depicted that way, I'd be like, well, even if it's true, that's still kind of a weird way to paint me. That's fucked up.
Did you come out of your grave to complain?
Is Jerry Buss actually dead? Okay.
Yes, dude.
Okay.
There's no way he'd hand it off to his daughter for nothing.
Okay, it's fine. If I were Jerry Buss, I would be upset. I'm not saying I'm Jerry Buss. That's my point. Okay, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is actually like...
They wanted my dick. Hey!
Yeah, like, it's fucking crazy. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a perfect example of someone who would be like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the way he was depicted in the show, real or not, just the way it was done, he was a complete fucking asshole. And then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is actually like a brilliant human being. He's a superhuman athlete, but he's actually a highly intelligent person. And he came out and basically talked about what he thought was wrong with the show, and I thought it was just very cool and very poetic. Didn't stop me from liking the show anymore, because again, I feel like a lot of people involved missed the point. So in a weird way, maybe they're the last persons who get to have an opinion on it, because as long as everything's factual, the artistic decisions... His opinion is that he just thought it was dumb. Nobody on that show acted the way they actually did in real life, which is fine. But the events that took place were completely real, according to like no one actually ever disputed what happened. So yeah,
he just said that it was an over dramatization.
Yeah, and I think that's the point stylistically, that they did it on purpose. Like as a when he handed off to Hollywood, we talked about that here. Like things can change. It can get ruined. In this case, I thought it was done very well, very tastefully. But I guess the people involved would miss the point. If someone took my likeness and made like a really over dramatization, like a weird caricature of the real person, I'd be like, that's fucked up. But hey, yeah, I can see why.
But I mean, like, definitely. Like, if you're telling a story, you definitely want to lie a little bit or embellish some things because, again, that's what makes the story better. Not like if you took a camcorded video of any event that happened in reality, it's never gonna be as fun as if it was dramatized ever. Like, because everyone, like us too, we're like very indifferent about how things are not really animated. But if I want to tell a story about us, it'll always be the extremes. I wouldn't point out like, oh, they're neutral. Yeah. No, it'd be like, oh yeah, Danny's just fucking mad about everything and he's raging. That fool is like one episode away from turning Super Saiyan. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I would describe you, because which one is more entertaining? Like, yeah, he's always having a bad day versus that fool's about to have flames pop out of his fucking head.
Yeah, and the thing is, I won't dispute you on that. I am angry, but like, do I go around every day like this? Like, fuck you, Omid, you ruined my life. Like, I'm not like that.
It's not too far off.
I know, it's not, but it's not 100% like that either.
You know, it really grinds my gears, Omid. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, you're gonna sit and listen to this. Fuck you. I literally just like sit. Every time I hang out with Omid, I just trap him and I make him listen to me, which is why I do this podcast now. This is how he gets an hour every week instead of me trapping him.
This is therapy.
Yeah. No, but I get it. These sports, any sort of biopic. Like, I watched an Elvis one the other day too. Not really sports related, but still kind of a. You guys ever seen that one, the Elvis movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vlad, I know.
Long.
Way too dude,
fucking long.
And had nothing to do with anything. It was fucking stupid. What was it? I won't even just describe to you what I watched. Just watch it yourself and be like, yeah, I have no idea. It did nothing about it. Like, didn't describe or depict anything about Elvis's life. It was a comic book, which I guess it's either kind of how they set it up, which makes the movie brilliant, or they missed the mark entirely and the movie's garbage.
That's not what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so that's garbage then. That's what I'll land on that.
They're trying to depict the story from the producer's point of view.
And they did a horrible job at it too. The way it was shot was terrible. Everything about that movie was not good. It was really like over the top, like not in a good way. Not the way that Winning Time was. Anyway, if you haven't, go do yourself a favor and watch that. Also watch Winning Time to wash the bad taste of the Elvis movie out of your mouth. But yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder also how someone like Spencer Haywood or even Mike Tyson in his own biopic feel about certain things in their past that they probably didn't want resurfaced, but they got resurfaced, so people are reminded about certain events that make them not so liked in the public eye. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the reasons Mike Tyson wouldn't have signed off on this biopic about his life is because he probably didn't want to bring that rape trial back into the public eye. It ruins his image. It could ruin his show. It could ruin his life in probably many different ways. And and everything could ruin him. Just like probably someone like Spencer Haywood doesn't want it to be known that he actually hired hitmen to kill his former teammates.
That was awesome. I mean, not the fact that he did that, but just the moment in the show was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
so wild. But yeah. But like, these are the type of people that probably wouldn't sign off on their likeness because they don't want these events to come back to light.
Yeah, very true. But that's what you get when you're very famous, because people are always trying to like embellish your story just to make it for better TV or movie.
Bro, can you imagine if they made a movie about Anne Frank, right? But they didn't dramatize it, so there was like 2 hours of scenes where they're just sitting in the attic, just kind of like twiddling their thumbs and just kind of chilling for like a year straight or a few months or however long they're up there. No, you're gonna dramatize it, man.
Yeah. You want to give some power to the real story, you know?
Yeah. Like, you're gonna highlight all the important stuff that makes it a story, because you also kind of remove the, like, when it comes to like over dramatizing characters and their not character flaws but just their identities, it's mostly because, again, it's gonna be super boring if you let it be the way it naturally is. But with the dramatization, you get some entertainment like that. Anne Frank's Diary was such a famous movie that they got away with having a 4-hour long movie.
Is that what it was? Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
think so. I think that was a very long ass movie though.
Yeah.
And imagine if they used a lot of that time with them just sitting in the attic chilling, like, and you see
Right.
scenes of her writing in her diary.
Yeah, basically doing fuck all.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not fuck all, but kind of waters down the film a little bit if you're just watching somebody write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you gotta dramatize it. Like all these movies about SEAL Team 6 or what is it? There was the Fargo was another one. Is that the one where they go into Iran and they save the
Argo.
people from the embassy? Argo.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one too. Like, people commented on how it was bullshit because that's not how it really went down. But again, you needed to dramatize it. Literally, all they did was CIA showed up, said, "All right, this is what we're doing. Come follow me." They go to the airport. They got on the plane. Done. But they made it seem like, oh, we're on the brink of getting caught. Oh shit. Oh, he fucked that up. Oh no, we can get caught any second. Made it suspenseful.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, and, not to say that movies and TV shows are exact truths. You should never go into it thinking that. Do your research, folks. But yeah, I know, like, for SEAL Team 6, I can't imagine anything was that crazy. Like, I feel like, there were probably like 100 different squads of military personnel looking for this dude, and then they just showed up and found the right cave, and bing, bang, boom, it was over. Like, the whole like going behind the scenes and like all the drama and all that stuff, I doubt any of that was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see actually though? If they ever recreated that, I would like to see a biopic of whatever conspiracy theories there might be. Like, they'll show you an instant of what they told us happened, where it's just kind of like peekaboo, poof, and then dump the body in the river. But also, like, if you think about how odd all those events were, I feel like if you listen to a conspiracy theorist talk about what really happened to Osama bin Laden in his body, that would definitely be a better form of dramatization, I think. I want to see what was Obama's office saying at the time and how they come up with the decision to do what they did.
So you'd rather adapt a conspiracy version of these events into a
Bro,
film?
conspiracy
Yeah.
theories, especially thanks to COVID, have been the most entertaining thing in the world. Conspiracy theories are almost more realistic than reality itself these days, and they just make so much sense, and they've been given so much credence thanks to like Pedophile Island and these like CIA documents that were like unredacted so people can actually see what MK Ultra was. Like, there are so many things that the government has done and lied to us about, and now with COVID and everything, off the rails of how the crazy shit that's going on or people believe is going on, that I'm like, I want to see an actual dramatization of what people think is going on in the world behind our backs.
Yeah, I think I talked to you about this before, but the really the only difference between a conspiracy and I guess people chasing down real facts is how crazy it sounds to you, how believable it is. But in any case, if you're looking at something, whether it be something that's like we're trying to find out the details of this factual instance versus that's just conspiracy, it's really just like how wild, how can we digest it? Is it like crazy enough to throw out the window as a conspiracy, or is it just like, well, this is like believable, this is within the realm of truth? And the fact is that, like, have you been on this planet? Anything is possible. Like, there are a lot of crazy shit. Like, Pedophile Island could be just as real as whatever you see on the 6 o'clock news, but we don't ever write that
Island
stuff up.
was real.
Yeah, it's good. So, but like,
it was real. Like, that's what's so crazy. Like, if you walked up to somebody 4 years ago and said, "Hey man, did you know that there's an island where a bunch of politicians and celebrities fly out to on a regular basis to fuck kids?" You'd be like, "Bruh, okay, that's just crazy. Like, rich people can't do whatever they want. That's out of line." You find out it's fucking true.
yeah,
Right? And then it's like, it's public knowledge that it's true. What else can you convince people that is not public knowledge that could potentially be true. That's not even as wild as that. So like now even people that are fucking flat earthers are being waved in front of everyone. Like, yeah, conspiracy theories, conspiracy theories. But the reality of it is that like, okay, I'll use flat earthers as my baseline. If somebody actually believes that the earth is flat, I'll be like, okay, you're just trying to act like you know more than me and you want to prove you're right, but you have no evidence. If you actually looked into this, you're going to know you're just wrong. The earth is not flat, it's round. People have sailed around the world. There's no magical ice wall at the end of the earth. People have flown around the world. It's a thing. So that one is a good baseline to be like, you're probably full of shit. But then when somebody says that in 1969 we may have not actually landed on the moon, I'm a little bit more inclined to believe something like that nowadays.
Yeah. If it's within the realm of possibility, then it's all probable. It shouldn't be labeled one way or another. It's like there shouldn't a conspiracy theory shouldn't be a label. It should just be like, did this happen or did it not happen? Like, as long as it's possible, then it's probable. Or if it's as long as it's possible, then it may have happened. No matter how wild it may sound to you on paper. I think that's I don't know. But that's social stigma for you. If it's crazy and improbable, then it's conspiracy.
Your conspiracy.
Okay, well, that's basically our cue for ending this podcast because Vlad has nothing to contribute. All right.
I just don't have any interest in the conspiracy theory aspect, but yeah.
Oh, well, we didn't really touch base on it. Maybe we'll do a whole podcast. Wouldn't you like that, Vlad? Okay,
All
sure.
I'm saying is that there's a comedian that says that, I don't want to ruin his joke, so I'm just going to summarize it, but he just says that, like, he's a father to one child, and he lies to that kid all the time, and the government is the parents to a bunch of people, to, like, millions of people. If you think that they're not lying to you at any moment, you're an idiot. Like, you're totally naive.
Yeah.
And I totally buy into that. There's so many things that have been lied to. And I think there's a huge distinction between, like, something that was, overblown or something that was made a mistake. Like, there was mistakes made. And then there's just straight up lying or hiding the truth. Like, when people talk about all these conspiracy theories of, like, what happened with 9/11 or what was the goal for COVID and why it was spread and what the goal of these vaccines are, the stories that people have fabricated are so much more interesting than what we're being told the truth is, to the point where I'm like, maybe one of these is more right than than what the news says.
You can't really say it's fabricated. You can say that it's hypothesized. Some of them have turned out to be true.
A lot of them have turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more of a fair language. I just think we should stop using conspiracy altogether. But
What should we call it?
I don't know.
Fables?
Like, why? What do you call other things that
The truth.
that people are looking into? Like a hype.
The truth.
I mean, the truth is only something that you can make. Like, you have to prove the facts, right? So until then, what is it?
I think
hypothesis.
conspiracy theory is a fine word. There's nothing wrong because it's a theory. It's not something that's proven to be true, but it's based on certain evidence that points to this being the truth. And then until you can say otherwise, people are gonna believe in them.
I
It's only-
just think it's a negative connotation, but so hypothesis might be better. But anyway,
Hypothesis versus theory.
versus well, conspiracy is the key word. Get rid of that entirely. Just the theory.
Yeah.
Hypothesis theory.
Hypothesis theory. All right. Anyway, it's fucking stupid. Yeah. Any more conspiracy theories you'd like to share with us, Omid?
Not immediately because I am not that educated in all of them.
Yeah.
But I always love me a good conspiracy, especially the ones that end up coming true. But one conspiracy theory that I fucking love to rub in some people's faces is just when the right wing was talking all this shit about Hunter Biden and saying he does all these things and the whole media shut it down. They didn't let it go public or say anything. And then all of a sudden there's this leak from his laptop and there's actual videos out on the internet of him like doing blow off prostitutes' tits. And the fact that
And
nobody
smoking crack.
and smoking crack. Yeah. Like there's all this evidence of him being an absolute shitty human being and yet no one's talking about it versus for example, if someone in Trump's family does something, it gets blown up even though they didn't really do the act that they're accusing them of. So just to see that like there's plain evidence in our lifetime that the news is 100% biased and the media is 100% biased and people are being fed narratives to basically manipulate them, and yet they choose to ignore that because they want to believe that Trump Orange bad man is just fucking incredible.
Unga unga.
Very well
Danny.
put. Yes, Vlad, I know. You're making noises because you can't formulate words.
Unga unga.
Okay, yeah, maybe we'll touch base on more of these on our next episode. But until then, all that being said, this has been another fantastic episode of Does This Offend You? That is Vlad. That is Omid. I am Danny. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, please. Follow us on Spotify. And then tell us down below in the comments about your favorite sports stories, about your favorite conspiracies, about your favorite TV shows. Whatever you want to talk about, tell us down below. Great. Next week, Vlad takes an actual punch from Mike Tyson. Thanks, and see you soon.
Is that when he learns what a punchline is?
Boom!